Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to go over how to scrap websites using Python. So you're going to be learning how to scrap websites, and I'll teach you all the basics, and at the end of the very tutorial we'll do a simple project of scrapping information from a table from a website. So this can be, web scrapping is very important skill to learn. Just as a Python developer, you might want to automate some tasks where you want to scrap information from a given website. Then web scrapping is the best way to go. So if you have a website that you want to obtain information from, you can either manually go in there and try to copy all the information, or you can write a script that does that for you. And to do that is called, we use web scrapping. And web scrapping is a way of obtaining information from a website using Python by writing Python scripts. Okay, so that's what you're going to be learning. I'm going to teach you basics, and at the end you're going to do a very simple project. So if you're new to the channel, please kindly consider subscribing, liking this video, and sharing this content with anyone who you may think might find this helpful. So let's get to it. So what is web scrapping? Web scrapping, as I said, is just a way of obtaining or scrapping information from a given website. Okay, so web scrapping is a technique used to extract information from a given website by simulating human activity. Right, you're behaving like a human, but basically it's just your script that is behaving that way in order to obtain some information from the website. And then maybe you want to store the information somewhere or do something with that information. So that is all web scrapping is all about. So let's say that you're trying to look for a job, right? And maybe you have to go to each website, like search for the job manually, right? So you can write a script that can go to the website and search for an individual specific keywords. Like maybe if you're looking for a Python job, you might go write a program that can scrap a website, a job listing website, to scrap the information or to obtain information about different Python jobs, and maybe inform you about it or something like that. So that's all web scrapping is all about. So okay, we're obtaining information from a website by using a bot, basically by writing a script that does that for us. So is that legal or is it illegal, right? Okay, this is a very difficult question to answer. It's like more of a gray area, because if you do it too much, then it can become illegal. But if you don't do it too much, right, it's also fine. But some websites don't like you running bots and scripts on their websites, and it can be difficult when doing web scrapping. So be very careful and don't overdo it too much, or you can get to the illegal side of things. So for example, I was running a bot recently on my Instagram page, and I tried to scrap to get like a lot of followers. I also made a video about that in the link they're going to be in the description if you want to check it. So I actually got blocked from my Instagram account because Instagram realized I was using a bot to try to get like people's videos and follow people in order to get followers back. So that it can be a very gray area. Okay, so be careful when doing web scrapping, but it is not illegal as to say. Why web scrapping? So let's say that you are trying to build a project, and especially let's say a data science project, right? And you want to obtain some information, but you currently don't have that data. So you can write a web scrapping script that can scrap the website or a given source of information to obtain the information that you need to build your model, to build your company, or to do your research and stuff like that. So web scrapping can be used in a variety of ways. Maybe you're trying to look for a job and you don't want to go there manually looking for the job. You can write a script that can look for specific keywords or from that website or job listing sites and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one of the uses of web scrapping. There are tens and thousands of users of web scrapping. Once we learn web scrapping, I think you can come up with the uses of web scrapping on your own. But this is how you can use web scrapping, and there are different ways. It's just a way of obtaining information, and how you want to use that information varies, right? So yeah, that's one way you can scrap. That's one way you can do web scrapping, and why you will do web scrapping. So now that you have looked at why would you do web scrapping, let's move on to another part of this. So challenges that are facing web scrapping, the first challenge may be durability, right? It's because websites change from time to time, and when you go into the actual coding part, you'll see why this actually is a challenge to web scrapping. So in web scrapping, maybe you have written a script to scrap a specific website maybe in January, and then maybe somewhere in April or somewhere in March, and then the script has changed, or they have changed the structure of the website. That means your script becomes irrelevant in scrapping that website. So that can be a challenge. And then also one of the thing is the variability of the code, right? So your script may change and the code may change, and various things may change from time to time. So it may make your script invalid, and you can't use one script that you've written for scrapping one website in another website. So there's a variety of websites, right? And each website have its own structure. So if you want to scrap one website, you have to write code for that specific website, and if you want to move to another scrapping another website, you have to also write another code for scrapping that website. So if you want to scrap 10 different websites, then you have to write 10 different scripts that was going to script that website. So that can be a challenge. Okay, and one of the ways to avoid web scrapping and all these issues of whether it's illegal, whether it's in a gray area, whether durability, variability, one of the easier ways to go around this is and obtaining data is simply using the APIs. There are many open APIs out there. An API stands for an application programmable interface. So you can simply use an API to obtain information rather than scrapping a website. So let's say that you want to collect information about Spotify, right? So you might write a web scrap information to scrap that information, maybe from their website or from their apps or whatever, but that can be a difficult task to do. So the best way to do it, another way to do it, and the best alternative, is to just get access to their Spotify APIs, and those APIs provide you data that you can work with just like that. So yeah, that's one of the challenges of web scrapping, and one way to get around this is simply using an API. So let's go ahead and look at the steps involved in web scraping. So one of the steps involved in web scraping is first inspecting the data source. So if you want to scrap any website in the world, one of the first things you need to do is to go and inspect that website. Go into the website, inspect the website, check how which tags are there, which HTML tags are there, what the scripts you need to use, how do you need to write your script to tackle the structure of the website, right? So the first thing you need to do is to inspect your data source. This can be done manually and visually by inspecting the website. Also, it can also be done using the developer tools. You can just go into developer tools and then look at the elements of the website and then visually inspect it from there. We'll take a look at this just in a second. So another way is another step involved in web scraping is to decipher the information of the URL, to decode the information stored in the URL. So the URL contains a lot of information. So if you've not done web development, you might just look at URLs as the way they are, but the person who does web development sees a URL as a huge source of information. So looking at the example, the URL that I have here of YouTube, this is the link to a YouTube video. So it's just https://www.youtube.com/watch, and then I have a question mark. So this is what are called query parameters. So query parameters are key value pairs. So the question mark and then the key and then equals to and then the value, right? So the key equals to and then the value. So it comes after the question mark. So this is a query parameter, and query parameters provide us a lot of information. So you can think of this as the base URL, and this can be a query parameter right here. This is actually a query parameter. And it's the V, I think the V stands for video, so equals to and then the video specific ID, right? So that's a query parameter that you can use. So if you're trying to do something scrapping YouTube, you might pay attention to their URL and understand how their URL works and how you can use it to your advantage of scrapping the website. So URLs contains a lot of information that you can work with when you're scrapping a website. Just a lot of information. So one of the ways you can inspect a site in a browser, you can just, on a Linux or on the Windows machine, you can press Ctrl Shift and I to go to inspect the page, or on the MacBook you can press Command Alt and I to inspect the page, and then that can give you access to the page. So let's just exit out of my presentation for now, and let me go quickly and show you how you can inspect a page. So I have this python.org website pulled up here, and this is the Python official documentation, official website for Python. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Shift and I, and it's going to go into inspect mode where I can go ahead and inspect. So you can see here the elements tag, the element section. I have all the information, the structure of the website. So I can go to the body. I have a div here. I can open the div, and I can just go ahead and inspect all this information. So right here I can inspect all this information. So I have this also right here. So you can see I have the navigation bar and all this other information just given to us right here in the browser. So you can, using the browser, we can inspect the page and get a ton of information out of the out of this, and then we can using this information we can design our web scraping tools to scrap all this information out for us. So you can see all this information right here. So you can just design a web scraping tool to use it to scrap this website by simply inspecting their website, identifying the different tags, what is it that you want to scrap and stuff like that. Okay, you're not going to be scrapping the Python of your documentation. No, since I told you web scrapping can be of a great area, so I don't want to get on the illegal side of things. So I have created my own website, just a simple website that you're going to be using, and you can find the link to that website in the description to my GitHub repository. Okay, so let's get back to our presentation. Yeah, so as I said, you can inspect the website, and that's one of the first steps you need to do before you begin to write the script to scrap a website when doing web scrapping. So in Python, we do web scrapping using a variety of ways. Let's look at the libraries that you can use to scrap website. There is Scrappy, there is urllib2, there is BeautifulSoup that we'll be actually using in this video, and then there is a more advanced way of doing this. Is called by using Selenium. So Selenium is more advanced from my experience. A bot to scrap in my Instagram page, and do something on my Instagram page, and Selenium is just one of the best out there. So let's go and look at how you can scrap content from a website. Just the basic HTML content from a web scrap, not any information, just the basic HTML. So the first thing you need to do is actually create a virtual environment, activate our virtual environment, and then you need to install requests. Okay, so you need to go ahead and install requests. So I'm just going to exit out of presentation mode, and then I'm going to go into my terminal. So I'm just going to open up my terminal. So once I have my terminal opened up right here, what I'm simply going to do, I'm simply going to create a directory. I'm going to call it web scrapping, and I'm going to change my directory into my web scrapping directory, and into this directory we're going to create the virtual environment. So web scrapping, I'm going to go in there, and to create a virtual environment you have to say python 3 -m vnv and then vnv. Okay, we're calling our virtual environment vnv. This can be any name you want. Some people call it env, but I'm just going to call it venv, virtual environment, instead of just environment. So feel free to call this anything you want, but the rest of the code must be the same. So if you're having challenges, kindly look at Python offshore documentation. This might be different from operating system to operating system, but this command is going to work for both Mac and Linux machines. So I'm just going to press enter, and this is going to take some time to create for us the virtual environment. And once our virtual environment is created, we can go ahead and activate our virtual environment. Now if you don't feel like working with a virtual environment, then feel free to skip the step of creating a virtual environment. You can just install the request and the request library or the other libraries that you can install inside of your global Python environment. So once my virtual environment is created, I'm going to do an ls. This command is going to, ls is for Linux and MacBooks. If you're on Windows, is a dir. Okay, so this is going to show me my virtual environment in this right here called venv. So I need to activate it, and to activate it the command is different. Okay, so if you're on Windows, check the offshore documentation, but this is going to work for MacBooks and Linux machines. So we're going to do venv/bin/activate. Okay, and this is going to go ahead and activate our virtual environment, and you can know the virtual environment is activated when you see the name of the virtual environment in parentheses in front of the line inside of your terminal. Okay, that shows that our virtual environment is activated. Okay, so the purpose of using virtual environment is that you don't mix your global Python libraries with your individual project library. Okay, this might lead to conflicts. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and use pip install. I'm going to install the request library, so requests, just like that, and install that. So this is a Python library that you can use to make requests, HTTP requests, HTTPS requests, and stuff like that. So yeah, let's wait for this to get installed, and once this is installed, we can write a simple script that is going to obtain information from a given website. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and clear this, and I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code. Feel free to use any editor that you're comfortable using, but I'm going to be using VS Code for this. So now that my VS Code is opened up, I can simply go ahead and let me just close this. So what I simply want to do in here is, first of all, I'm going to be using my own website, right, that I wrote a script for. So let me just go ahead and to my GitHub page and try to get that access to that website. So I'm just going to go, I have my GitHub page already pulled up here. I'm just going to go there and get access to my my repository, which contains all the code you're going to be writing in this tutorial. So you can use this website for testing, because I don't want to do anything illegal by scrapping anyone's website online. So make sure that you be on the safe side. But if you want to scrap any website online, this will also work for that, but be careful. So I have my website pulled up, my repository pulled up here. So I'm going to go into web content, and inside of that I have a HTML file called index. So I'm simply going to go ahead and copy all of this. So I'm just going to copy all of this. It's just not a huge code base, so I'm just going to copy everything manually, copy it, and then move back into my VS Code. I'm going to create a folder here. I'm going to call it sorry, not a file, so it's going to be a folder instead. So I'm going to create a folder, and this folder, that's what we're going to be using to store our web content, web file. So I'm going to simply say let me keep it all lowercase, so web underscore content content dot web content, sorry, and then instead of my web content folder, I'm going to create an index file, index.html, and then index of HTML. I'm simply going to go ahead and paste all that code that I have copied right there. So you can find all this code on my GitHub page, and it's just a simple website. So I'm going to be using live server, an extension called live server. So you can go into extension type and search for live server. So live server enables you to launch your your HTML files using a server. So you can just search and install this package right here called live server. So I do have this already installed, so I'm just going to go ahead and start my web server. So I'm going to start this file by simply right clicking and open with live server. So click on that, and it's going to take some time to open up that live server, and once it's open up, we can begin to scrap the website. So let me just go into my browser, and I'm going to go into my browser and check if that is open up. So this is the website right here, and it's open up. So it's just like I just created a simple website containing NFT plus stuff, some images, and a bunch of tables. Okay, so you're going to learn how to scrap this simple website using BeautifulSoup. Okay, so let's go ahead and just initially I just want to get the content of this website. So if I just do shift control shift and I, or you can simply do this and go to in the inspect mode. So this is I just want to get the HTML content of this website. So I didn't get all this HTML content, and let me show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to close this for now, bring back the website, and then in here I'm going to write a simple script that is going to obtain for me the information from this website. So I'm just going to call this script scrap HTML underscore content. So let me just close this up, and then in here I'm going to create a file. I'm going to say scrap underscore HTML underscore content dot HTML file. Okay, great. So once I have this, I can just simply go ahead and sorry, this is not HTML, this is a Python file. So let me rename this, my bad. So let me just rename this to b.py. Okay, so once we have that done, you're going to go ahead and import the request library that we just installed. So I'm just going to go ahead and import it right here. So I'm going to say import request just like that, and once I have it imported, I'm going to have a URL. So I'm going to have a URL, and this is going to be the URL for the website. So I'm going to go back inside of my browser. So inside of my browser, I'm simply going to go ahead and copy this copy the link here, and then go back into VS Code, and then store this in form of a string. So I hit Control C instead of Control V. So I'm just going to select all this again, copy it, and this time let me make sure that I don't make a mistake, so I pasted it properly. So once I have this, I'm going to go ahead and say page, and page is going to be requests.get, and I'm going to simply pass in my URL. So it's going to get all the content of that, all the HTML content from that URL, and I'm simply going to print it out. I'm going to simply print page. Okay, so let me just save this for now. I'm just going to print page. Let me save this for now, and let me go into my terminal, and let's try to run the script. So open up my terminal, and then I'm doing ls, or Windows is dir. So our Python file is right here. So I'm just going to do Python 3, and then scrap just like that, and then run this. So let's see what we get back. So this is going to return to us the content of that page. Okay, so let's see what page returns, and page just returns to us a response of 200. Okay, this is weird. So the way to get the actual HTML text is doing .text format. Okay, so let's go and run this again, and this get all that HTML output. Okay, so you can get all that HTML from that specific website. So we get all that HTML, and this is what you can use website. So we get all that HTML, and this is what you can use to scrap that website and get the information that we need. Okay, yeah, so that's all the HTML content of that website. So it's very similar to actually having access to this HTML file, right? Yeah, so that's basically it. So now that we have this, let's move on to our presentation, and let's see what's next on the list. Yeah, so we went ahead and created a virtual environment, activated a virtual environment, install request, and learn how to obtain pure HTML content from a given website, right? So this could be any website. This could be any website running locally on a machine or running on the web. So you just have to get the URL and pass in the URL and get that content. So let's look at types of website, because this is very important in web scraping. So let's look at the first website, which is a static website. So a static website, a website in which the content doesn't basically change. It's just pure HTML, CSS stuff. Okay, sometimes some JavaScript stuff, but it's just static. This is not dynamic in any way. So that's a static website. For example, the website that you're trying to be scrapping is a static website, right? We also have a hidden website. So hidden website is a website whereby you actually need to pass in your login credentials in order to have access to this website. So they're called hidden websites. And then you have dynamic websites. So dynamic websites return JavaScript content that tells the browser how to create a different HTML contents. So this can be difficult to scrap because you're getting JavaScript back rather than actually a HTML stuff. So it can be difficult to scrap, but I don't know, there must be a way around scrapping dynamic website. I haven't really scrapped a dynamic website. I've only used Selenium to interact with dynamic website. Yeah, I've just obtained some basic information out of it, but not much. So let's use BeautifulSoup, and BeautifulSoup is a Python library that you can use to scrap static websites, and it's a very great library when working with web scrapping. I just really love this library. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and learn how to use how to use BeautifulSoup rather. So there's another library called Scrappy as well for web scrapping. So let's go ahead and learn how to use BeautifulSoup. So the first thing we need to do is actually to install the library. Okay, so let's go ahead and install BeautifulSoup. So this is BeautifulSoup and stuff like this. So let's go ahead and install BeautifulSoup and let's get to it. So let's go. I'm just going to exit out of my presentation, and once I'm done, I'm going to go into my terminal, and inside of my terminal I'm going to clear this and make sure that the virtual environment is activated. I'm simply going to do pip install. It's called BeautifulSoup. So BeautifulSoup 4. Okay, BeautifulSoup 4, and then press enter. This is going to go ahead and install BeautifulSoup 4, which you can use to scrap information from a given website. So let's just wait for this to get installing, and I'll show you the basics of how to use BeautifulSoup. So once this is done installing, let's go back to our VS Code and go back to any editor that you are using. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another file, and I'm going to call this file, I'm going to call it BeautifulSoup _soup _01.py, just like that, and press enter. So once I have this file, I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to copy basically everything here. So I'm going to copy everything except the print statement, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it in here. And I'm also going to go ahead and import BeautifulSoup that we just installed. So I'm going to say import bs. Okay, it's going to be from bs4 import BeautifulSoup. So it's going to be BeautifulSoup, just like that. So once I have that imported, I can simply go ahead and create a soup. Okay, so as we went ahead and gotten the HTML content, so we can use the HTML content to actually create what we call a soup. So I'm going to simply say soup here, and soup is going to be BeautifulSoup BeautifulSoup, and then we pass in the page content, which is that page dot content. Pass in the content like this, and then you're also going to provide in a parser that is going to use to pass this information. So the parser is going to be a string format, and the parser is going to be HTML underscore parser, just like that. So this is going to be used to pass the information to HTML.parser. Okay, my bad, not underscore parser, HTML.parser, and this is going to be used to pass the information that we obtain from this specific page content. So let's go ahead and let me just print this out. So let's just say print soup. Let's see how the soup looks like. So I'm just going to go into my terminal. Instead of my terminal, I'm going to clear all of this, do an ls. In Windows is dir, and then I'm going to do Python 3 and then BeautifulSoup BeautifulSoup.py. Okay, so let's run this and let's see what we get back. So we get back the HTML content and the other when you're using the request library. Okay, so good. So one thing you can see that it actually doesn't look formatted, because if you look at the original HTML file, so let me just go back in here, and if you look at the original HTML file, you can find that it's all well indented. So you can also do that using the soup. So what you have to do is just saying dot prettify. So prettify, So prettify, which is a function method, just call that method, and then if you run the program again, so run the program again, now we get all that indentations and all that formatting. You can see we have all the tables indented and stuff like that. So the indentation is properly formatted, and to do this you just have to use .prettify. So great. So once we know how to get the content using a BeautifulSoup and be able to print out the content in a prettified manner, so let's go ahead and try to find element by ID. So let me just click it here, find element by ID. So we can go ahead and try to find elements by ID, right? So you can go and try to find an element using its ID individually. So let me just go into our web application right here on the web. So let me just go in here, and in here what I'm simply going to do, I'm going to go ahead and inspect this website. So if I can inspect the website by pressing by just going to the inspect tab, or you can press Ctrl Shift and I, and that also brings you to the inspect site, or you can just right click on your browser and then select inspect. So once you're in the inspect mode right here, you can go ahead and you're going to find an element with a given ID. So the ID that I want is the ID called page header. So I'm going to get this content from this page, web page. So let me just go in here. I think I can also find it right here. So here I think I can find it maybe also here. Yeah, so let me just try to get this h3 element with the ID of page heading. Okay, so if you get an element by ID, it's going to return to you you can get a specific element or all the elements with that specific ID, but IDs are unique, right? So you can only get one element back with that specific ID. So let's go and try to do it. Okay, so page heading. So let me just go in here. So go in here, and then what I still want to do is I'm going to create this system. I'm going to store the information in result, a variable called result, and it's going to be soup dot find. I'm going to say soup dot find, and then in here we're just going to say ID. The ID is going to be page hyphen heading, just like that. So page hyphen heading, and then I want to go ahead and print the result out. Let's see what we get. So print result, just like that. So I'm just going to go in here and then clear this output and then run this again. Let's see what we get back. So we can see we get back the first one, which is having the ID of page heading, and which just says welcome to the to my NFT place, and which is just this information right here, which is this one right here, this information right, I think is right where it is. Let's say welcome to my HTML page. I think it's in this row, and then here, yeah, this one right here, we get this information back, which has the first page ID, which it says welcome to my NFT place right here. So we get back this information right back. So that's how one way you can get an element by ID, and IDs are unique to each individual page. For this page I repeated the ID. We'll see why I repeated the ID for different elements. So but typically an ID is just a unique element, right? So let's try to get more information out of this. So you can also do go ahead and prettify this if you want, but you can just leave this out for now. So I'm also going to get all the elements with a class. So let's get elements with class. So let's go here, and you can have the same class. So guys, so there is the response in result, and this is going to be the following. So it's going to be soup dot find underscore all. The reason I'm using find all is because multiple elements can have the same class, right? So we're going to look for div components, and then the div component that has a class. So in Python, classes are a keyword, so you have to use an underscore here, so just to avoid the Python class keyword. So class, and then I'm going to say row here. So I'm going to find all the classes that have a row. So if I go back here, you can see I have many classes, many div elements that have rows. So I'm finding all the div elements with the class row in it. So I want to get all the row elements right here, and I'm using the bootstrap. That's why I'm having these bootstrap classes. So we can simply go ahead and simply print, and then results, just like that. So I can simply go ahead and print out that result. So this is going to return to me all the div elements that have a class of row. Okay, so let me just go inside of my terminal and then clear this, run this again, and let's see what we get back. So we get back all the elements that have a class of row. So you can do all the div that have a class of row. So this is actually a list, and the list contains all of this. So you can look through this list and obtain all that information out. So let's go ahead and try to iterate through all this list and print out the information. Okay, so let me just clear the terminal again and go back in here. So I'm just going to comment this out for now. So I'm just going to say for row in results, right? I want, because result is going to be a list, right? So I'm going to simply go ahead and print row, comma, and let's say end and then I'm going to say n just to keep a bit of spacing there. So I'm going to say n is going to be /n, and I'm going to multiply this by 4, okay, just to keep enough spacing between each individual row component. So let's go ahead and try to run it. So this is going to print out one row component, and it's going to be 4 spaces, another row component, and then 4 spaces, that way. So let's just run this and let's see what we get. So you can see this is one row component right here, which is for the table, and then another one, which is this one right here, and then another one, and then finally we have the top one right here. So if you go to the page right here, to the web scrapping page, you can see we have 4 row components right here. So this is the 1, 2, and then 3, and then finally we have the fifth one, which the fourth one, which is here 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 different row components, and the last one contains a table, a HTML table, which is right here. So you can even check the table body, which is this one right here. So you can see you have that information as well here. So you can see the very last one is the HTML table that we have right here. So you can scrap information from that individual website. Okay, so you guys are looking for the link to that code of the website. It's in my it's in the description below. Just click on the repository and you get that code. Okay, so now now that we have this, let's try to let me just go into my let's inspect the website right here. So each row we have let's try to get the h3 elements from each individual row. So let me just inspect this, and then let's try to find the h3 which is just contains some text, right? So this is a h3 right here, h3 tag. So this one has a h3 tag, and let me check this one right here. This one also has a h3 tag, this row right here, and this row also has a h3 tag. So let's go ahead, and I want to obtain the h3 tags from this individual row. So let me just try to maybe to zoom in for you guys to see. Yeah, so right here, I hope you guys can be able to see that. So let me see. Let me just bring this a bit down here so that it can be, I don't know, is it moving down? Let me try to move this down. Okay, right here. So now I want us to go ahead and get all the h3 elements that are in the in each of these row components. So if you look at the code right here, you can see each of these row components, almost all of them have a h3 tag element. So let's go and see how we can obtain that information. Okay, so I'm just going to comment this out for now. We don't need this, so I'm going to comment each of these rows in from the results variable, which is actually a list. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to say row underscore heading, which is the h3 tag, equals to the row.find. We're trying to find what? A h3 tag. Okay, you're trying to find a h3 tag, and the h3 tag has an id of called page heading. Okay, so I told you I repeated the id just for page have a heading. IDs are actually unique, but for this page I just repeated the id to keep things much simpler. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and print the row underscore heading, just like that. So for each of those rows, we found the h3 element if it exists, and then we're simply going to print it out. So let's go ahead, try to run the code, and then let's see. So I'm going to clear the terminal and then run this code again. So let's see. Okay, so I got the first one, and the first one says welcome to my NFT place, right? And the second one says dark card section, and then the other one says table section. So let's go and actually look at this on the web page. So I'm just going to minimize this for now, and if you look at it, we have that. Yeah, so the first one is this one, which is a h3 tag, then the second is this one, which is a h3 tag, and then the last one is this one, which is a h3 tag. Okay, so you can check that information right here. So that's how you can obtain information from that from each that's how you can scrap the individual tag elements out by specifying find, and then you specifying this find what you want to find. So if there are many of these tags, you can use find underscore all, which is going to return to a list of all those elements. Okay, so great. Now let's go and learn how to extract text from them. So we're getting you're getting back the whole HTML of the h3 tag. What if you only wanted the text like table section or card section or welcome to my NFT place? You don't want all these h3 class blah 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 and all the ID and stuff like that. We only want the text, so we can also do that. So let me just go and show you how we can do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do after getting all of this, after getting the information, I'm going to check if the row is not none. So I'm going to say if row underscore heading is not none. Okay, means that we actually have, because some elements are having missing values right there. So if it's not none, what I simply want to go ahead and do is simply say row underscore heading dot row heading dot text, and it's going to return okay, I want to print this out. So I'm just going to print row underscore heading dot text, and it's going to return to us the text of that row heading. So let's go ahead and try to go ahead and print that information. So let me just go in here and let's see what we have. So run this. So you can see you have only the text itself. So we have welcome to my NFT place, which is from the first h3 tag. Then we have a dark card section, which is this one, right? And then we have the table section right here. So we have all this spacing around there. Maybe you don't want all the spacing, so you can also quickly go ahead and actually drop that spacing if you don't want it. So you can actually do just strip in Python, so the string method strip, and it's going to return all the extra spaces and stuff like that. So let me just run it again and let's see what we get. So run again. So you can see we get back the same content, but we don't have all this weird spacing and indentation, so you can get just the plain text back. So that's how you can get the plain text back, just by using BeautifulSoup by scrapping a given website. So we got all this information, which is this one right here, this one right here, and this one right here, by just using web scrapping, by scrapping the information using BeautifulSoup. So great. So now let's move on to try to find an element with a given let's say that a given element that contains a specific ID. So now that we know that we have hello welcome to my NFT place, and which is found in a h3 tag, let's try to find a based on string. Okay, so we're going to find a h3 tag that contains the string welcome to my NFT marketplace. That's all we want to do. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to copy this, and then go back in here. So in here, what I'm simply going to go ahead and do, I'm simply going to go ahead and simply say h3 underscore heading, and this is going to be the following. It's going to be soup, right? The soup dot find. Yeah, so inside of find, what you're simply going to do is that you're going to go ahead and specify what you want to find. So let's go ahead and specify the tag that you want to find. So the tag I want to find is going to be a h3 tag, and the text of it, so I'm going to say string, and the string it contains, we want it to contain a string of what you have just copied from the terminal, right? So we want it to contain a string of welcome to my NFT marketplace, just like that. So just by doing that, you're going to go ahead and get the information that we need, and simply you can go ahead and print it out on the screen. So I'm just going to go in here and just say print, and I'm simply going to print out h3 underscore heading, just like that. So once I have this done, I'm going to press enter. I'm going to go into my terminal, and then I'm simply going to run that again. So I'm going to Python 3 and then BeautifulSoup.py, and then run that. So it's simply going to go ahead and print out the h3. So you can see we have that tag right here. So imagine that you want multiple of them, so you can simply just say underscore all, and it's going to return to a list containing all the h3 tags that match this, that contains this string. Okay, so I can just go ahead and try run this again. So I'm going to run this again, and I can, this time I just get back a list with only a single element, because we have only one h3 tag that contains the string welcome to my NFT place. Great. Okay, most times when you're working with web scrapping, you might not know the full text or the full content of the given HTML tag, right? So what you can simply go ahead and do is to search for maybe a specific tag that contains a specific word inside of it, instead of its string. So let's just, so one thing I also want us to go over is getting a HTML tag that contains only a specific the HTML tag that consists of a specific word. So in this case, we have specified all the string that is inside of the h3 tag, this h3 tag. So sometimes you might not know the whole content of the whole string of the of the given HTML tag, right? So we can maybe look for a specific string that is within it, and then get that back. So let me just show you. It might be a bit difficult to understand, but let me just show it to you. So h3 underscore header, I'm just going to say h3, I'm going to say header, and this is going to simply going to be I'm going to get my soup object, my soup, and then I'm going to say dot find underscore all. So I want to find all the h3 tags, and then the h3 tags that consist the following string. So I'm going to string, and I'm going to pass in here. This string is going to be following. So I'm going to pass in a lambda function. So lambda, this anonymous function. So I'm going to pass in, I'm going to expect text, and I'm simply going to find I'm going to say hello. Welcome, sorry, rather not hello. So the reason I'm saying hello is that I'm going to look for any h3 tag that consists of hello inside of its string content. So in sorry, let me just say hello in text dot lower. The reason why I said text dot lower is I will convert all of it to lowercase, because this if hello is inside of that text, like in this case, but the W is capital H, so by converting it to lowercase, everything will be lowercase, and then you can be able to find this text right here. So you're just going to find all the h3 tag that consists of the text hello inside of it. So let me just go ahead and print that idea. So it's a print and then h3 and then header, just like that. And I can go in my terminal and then run the code again. So go in here, let me just clear the terminal out and then run that code again. So now we should go get back this right here, which we got previously, because it contains hello in it. So that's why we get back hello. So let's say that I go back and let me just go back the website right here. Look, let's look for all the h3 that have here you have section, and also here you have section. So let's look for the one that has section inside of it. So let me just change this to be section, and then go back into my terminal and then run that again. Now we see we get back a list of these specific two elements. So the first one contains dark card section because there's section inside of it, and the second one also contains table section because there's a section keyword inside of it, which is a keyword that you're searching for. So great. So that's how you can get information out of a string, how you can get a specific HTML tag back based on that string parameter. So let's go ahead and also look at how we can finding parent elements. So let's go and see, like, maybe this HTML tag, this HTML content. So let me just show you the HTML code right here. So let's say we want all the contents that have all the divs with a class of row. We want to get their parent, right? So it's going to return to us the parent of this row content element. And in HTML, I hope you understand the content of parent and child, and the same content applies here. Okay, so the same concept applies here. So let me just comment this out for now, and let me just go down here, and I'm going to go ahead and say rows, and the rows is going to be soup.find. Sorry, let me just get the spelling of find right. Find underscore all, and then I want to find all the divs that have a specific class. So I have to say class, and then I have to say underscore. Don't forget the underscore because you have to escape the Python keyword class. So I'm going to say that have the class row. So I'm going to be looking for the ones that have the class row. Okay, so it's always a best thing to inspect your HTML source content inside of the browser, because if you're working with a live website, you don't have the code written less like I do. So always get yourself familiar by working with the inspect element. So you can just press Ctrl Shift and then I on your keyboard if you're on the Linux on the MacBook. Okay, so once I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and open up this. So you can see the instead of container tag, we have the 4 div rows, right? So their parent is going to be the container element. So let's go ahead and try to get that information. So now that I have all the rows, what I'm simply going to do is get their parents. So I'm going to say row underscore parents, and this is going to be a list. I'm going to use a list iteration right here. So I'm going to say row underscore element. So row element dot parent dot parent. So it's going to tell me the parent of the parent of the parent of that element. Okay, so it is going to go in here and specify the list comprehension. I'm going to say for row underscore element in rows, right? So from the rows that we got right here, we're getting each of those rows, and then you're getting this parent and the parent of that parent and then the parent of that parent. So we can go ahead and actually print this out. So we can just go ahead and actually print this out, and let's see what we get. So I'm going to do print and then row underscore parents this way. So great. So once I have done that done, I'm going to go into my terminal and then run the code again. Now I should have the parent of the parent of the parent of that row tag. So you can see I get that back here in form of a list. So great. So once I have that done, yeah, that's how you can get the parent of the parent of the parent. So you can take time and inspect this, and you can see you're going to get the parent of the parent of the parent. If you have any problem understanding HTML, you can always Google HTML and what parent means in HTML. Okay, so I'm not going to go in time in depth about that, but that's how you can get the parent of the parent elements in HTML using BeautifulSoup. So great. So once I have this done, let me just go ahead and comment this, and let's move on to the next basic thing that you're going to go over. So the next thing we're going to go over right now, I'm going to show you how to find a given tag element. So let's say that I want to find the anchor tag from this website. So this website consists a bunch of anchor tags, right? So if you inspect the code element, right, you can find out we have a bunch of anchor tags. So I want to go ahead and get all those anchor tags right out. So let me just show you how I can go ahead and do that. So even if I open up this link right here, maybe I have a bunch of anchor tags right here. These are anchor tags. So let's go ahead and get those anchor tags information out, those links. Okay, so I'm simply going to go in here, and I'm going to look. This is going to be the A tag, right? So I'm going to go ahead and let me just keep a comment here to say find a given tag, and this is going to be A underscore tags, and A tags is going to be soup dot find underscore all. So I'm going to find all the A tags, and then what I'm simply going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and say print A underscore tags, just like that. I hope I called it A tags. So yeah, A tags. So I can simply go ahead and print it. Let's see what we get. So I'm just going to go in the terminal, clear the terminal. You can see I get all of it, the A tags right here in here. So you can see I have them here. So great. So what I want to go ahead and do is actually print each of them out. Okay, so I want to get the href of each of those elements, anchor tags. So I want to get this href component out of it. So I want to get the link actually. So let me just go ahead and do that. So I will say for tag, for A underscore tag in A underscore tags, what I want to do is print A underscore tag, and what I want to get is the href component. So href, and I'm going to pass in href, and it's going to return to me the href component. So that's all I needed to do. So I'm going to go into my browser, sorry, into my terminal, and then run that again. Now we should get back those A tags. So you can see I have it right here. So these are the A tags. Okay, let me just comment this out for now so that you can just avoid that confusion. So I'm just comment this out, and then go back into my terminal, clear the terminal, and then run the code again. So you can see I have those A tags. The first one is hello, the https google.com, and then the other ones are asterisk. So you can see them here. So you have the the one to Google, and then the other rest are asterisk. So let's go ahead, actually modify the code a bit, and let's see if we can get the information that we expect. So I'm going to go into my index, and I'm going to look for a hashtag right here. So let me just look for a hashtag right here. So contacts, right? So let me just change this to be contacts. Let me just create a fake something. So https let me just say :/www. Let's say youtube.com, just like this. So once I have that, I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go ahead and run it again. So now you should have two of them, either one being Google, one being YouTube, and the other one being just an asterisk. Okay, let's run this again. So sorry for that. Let me just clear the terminal. So clear this, and then run the code again. So now you can see we have Google, YouTube, and then the other one being asterisk. So that's how you can get the anchor tags out. Okay, so just by going over all of this, we went over all the basics that we need to learn the basics of BeautifulSoup. So there are many more, but we can't go over all of them. So I promise you that at the end of this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and build a simple project. So let me just explain to you what my project is. So data scrubbing can be used to obtain information for various data science projects, right? So one of the ways you can, if you go on website, you find data being stored in tabular forms, right? Just like the way we do like pandas, data frames, and other stuff like that. They have data being stored in data in tables like this. So even if you're not doing web data science or anything like that, this knowledge still applies. So what I want to do is to scrap this information, first name column, last name column, and email column, and then store it in a CSV file. Okay, so that's what the project is all about. Scrap all this information and then store it inside of a file. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is going to be what you need to do first is going to be let's go to VS Code, and what we need to do is to create a file. So I'm going to simply call it create a file here. I'm going to simply call this file project underscore 01.01.py. okay, so what I'm simply going to do in here, I'm going to scroll up, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy all this information. So I'm going to copy all of this and then move it to my projects and then paste it in there. So once I have that pasted in there, I have the soup or being created right here. What I want to do right now is to go ahead and get the table content. So let me just go ahead and inspect the page so that we can do this side by side, and you guys can apply all that you have learned so far. So I'm going to go into the element section, and I'm going to go ahead and find the, let me just scroll down here. So I'm going to go ahead and find this table right here. So I'm going to use in the last row. So I'm going to open that up and then go into the table section. So the first thing I want to do is to actually get this table tag. We can see that table tag is the one that contains the information that we want. So let's go ahead and actually get the table tag. So I'm simply going to say table, and this is going to be the following. So table is going to be soup.find. So let me just get the find. And what you simply want to do is that you want to find the tag which is called table, like the table tag. And if you go to the website and you look here, you can see we have a tag called the table tag, which contains our table information that we want to scrap. So I'm going to first get the table tag, which is going to be the whole table, and you can also specify the class name if you want. So if you look closely on the website, you can see we have a class called table, or you can specify any of these classes that you want. So I'm just going to use the class table. So I'm going to say class underscore and then equals to, this is going to be table, and this class name is just compulsory because we have only one table, but in some cases you have multiple tables, so you might want to use the table ID instead in case the table has an ID, since IDs are unique to each and every of those elements. So I can just go ahead and simply print the tables also. Let's see what we get. So print table, and then let me go to my terminal. So I'm going to say Python 3, and then it's going to be project 1, then run that. So let's see what we get, but this is going to be very simple. Just going to get back the table element here, so you can see we have the table, whole table. So what I want to do for now is to actually go ahead and get the table head, which is going to be this one, the table head. Okay, so now let me just go ahead and get the table head. For now I'm just going to comment this out, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is saying the table underscore head, and the table head is going to be the following. So it's going to be table dot find underscore all. So I'm going to find dot find underscore all, and this is going to be the t head tag. So I'm going to say t head, and this is a t head. Okay, and this is the tag that we have right here. So let me just go ahead, table. Now you have the table, so you want the t tag, which is a table head right here. Great. So we want that here, the email, the first name, and then the last name. Okay, so I want those information, so I'm going to get the table head, and this is going to return to be the table head. So now you can go ahead and actually print out the table head. So print, and then I'm going to say table head right here. So great. So I'm just going to go into my terminal, and then let me run this one more time. So let me just run this one more time, clear this, and then rerun that script again. So this, you can see you have the table head here in form of a list. Now I want only the first element of the list, which is just this, right? Just a single element list. I don't want the whole list. You can just use find instead of using find all, but let's again just remove this, and then again run the code again, and see what we get. So run this again. Now you can see we have that table content being there instead of being inside of the list. Okay, so one way you can also do it, if you use find all, then you can just go ahead and get the very first index by specifying 0 here, and that should also work for you. So now that I have that, I'm simply going to go ahead and actually get the table body, because if I go back here, you can see we have the table what is that? So let me just scroll up here, so you can see we have the table head here, right here, and we got the table head out, the table head information. Now I want to get the table body. Okay, so let me go ahead and get the table body. So there was the head, and then there was the body. So I got the head, now I got the body, which is the actual information that we're interested in. So let me just go ahead and get the table body. So I'm just going to comment the print statement out for now, and I'm going to say table underscore body, and the table body is going to be simply table dot find. You can use find all or just find, so you can just find the table body. So it's going to be t body, right? And t body is the tag, right? That's this tag right here. So if you're looking for this t body tag right here, so that should return to us the table body, and I can just go ahead down here and print table underscore body. Okay, so table body right here. So once I have that done, I can simply go ahead, clear the terminal, and then run the code again. Now this should return to me the table body, which is just all of this content from here until right here. And if you use find all, then you just have to get the very first index. So once that we have the table body, I want to get the table head rows. Okay, because the table head, if I go to the website, the table head right here, if I expand this, the table head has different rows. Okay, so you can see we have the different rows. So I want to get all those row information out of there. So I want to go ahead and get the table row information. So let me just go back, and if I go back here, I want to go ahead and let me just comment this print statement out for now, and I'm going to say table underscore head underscore row, and this is going to be table underscore head dot find underscore all. We can just say dot find all, and what you want to find is simply we want to simply find sorry, this is going to be table row. Okay, so yeah, so once I have that done, I also want to change this variable to be table rows. Okay, and I want to go ahead and print this information also. Table print, and then it's going to be table underscore head underscore rows. Okay, table head underscore rows, just like this, and I want to print out to see what we get back. So this return to us the table head, and then we're going to get all the table rows out of it. So let me just run this one more time. So clear the terminal, and then run this again, and this should return to us all the different table rows instead of the table head, and this is going to return to us a list, right? And this is just one of those elements, so we can actually just find, and that should also be okay. Or if you use find all, then you can go ahead and get this very first index, but in this case you're just going to use find all. Okay, and then the reason why using find all, I'll just explain to you just in a second why I decided to use find all. So I'm just commented out that print statement. I also want to get all the table rows from the body section, so I'm going to say table underscore body underscore rows, and this is going to be the following. So table underscore body dot find underscore all, and then I'm going to find the table row for those individual body elements. And you can also go ahead and print that out as well. So print this is going to be table body rows right here. So print that out. I'm going to go into my terminal and then run that again, and you can see we have all the table rows from the body element. Again, this is going to be inside of a list again. So once I have all that information there, what I simply want to go ahead and do is actually specify a column. So I want to create another variable called column. So I'm just going to comment this out for now. So I'm going to say column. I'm going to say column name. So I'm going to say column underscore names, and column names for now is just going to be an empty string. Okay. And what I simply want to do is I'm going to go ahead and say column underscore heading. Column headings, and column headings is going to be the following. So it's going to be table head rows. Okay, table head rows, and from table head rows, what I'm going to do is get is to dot find. So I'm going to say dot okay. For now, let me just go in here and try to use find all, find underscore all. So find all, and then this is going to be find underscore all. Okay, no, even I can just use find, and that should be also okay. So let me just go back here and just say dot find underscore all. So we want to find all the table heads. Okay, so even if I go back, let me just go back and show what I'm trying to do. So if I go into my table head, table rows, each of these table rows consists of the table head tags. So we're simply going to go ahead and find the table head tags, and I'm using all because there are multiple table head tags, so you can see there are multiple of them. So it's going to return to us a list. Okay, so from that list we want to get the first going upward. So I want to get the very first element going upward. The reason why I'm getting the first element going upward is because I'm not interested in this very first one, because it's just a hashtag. I'm not interested in it. I just want this column name, and this column name. I'm not interested in this hashtag. So that's why I specified from the very from the second index, from the first index until the very end. Okay, so once I have that information, I can just go and say for I comma row, let me just get the spelling right, I comma row in enumerate. So we're going to enumerate this. So enumerate, and enumerate, we're simply going to go ahead and pass in the following. So we're going to say column underscore headings. Okay, column headings, and from there what we're simply going to go ahead and do is that we're going to go ahead and we can actually print it out. So you can just say print rows. We can just print rows here. So let's go ahead and actually print the rows information, and let's see what we get so far. So let me clear the terminal and then run that again. So this is going to we got back an error says that when you meant to call find, did you call find all when you meant to call find? So this error is coming from let's see, so table column headings. So let's column headings part. So column headings dot find all. Okay, we are getting an error here. I think the solution to this error is we can just use let me just read the error one more time. So I see that you're trying to treat a list element like a single element. So we are trying to treat a list element like a single element. So let me just see what where I made a mistake right here. So I see that you're trying to treat a list element as a single element. So let me just go back and then let me just change all of this to be let me just use all here, because on my script I already used all. So I'm just going to say underscore all, and then I'm going to get the very first index out. Even here I'm going to say underscore all. So I'm going to say underscore all, and then I'm going to use here going to get the 0th index. Okay, and then from rows table heading rows. Okay, table heading rows, and then you're going to get the very first element. So table heading rows, we want the very first element, the 0th index, and then dot find all. which is going to return to us all, and then you're going to get from the first index until the very last index. So I hope I haven't made any errors. So let me just go ahead and try this one more time, and let's see what we get. So I got that information as expected. So I have first name, last name, and then email. So once I have that done, I can just also get the text of it. So I can do the text, and then we can do the strip just to remove any empty white spaces. So I can just run this one more time. So you should get first name, last name, and email, which are the rows from this column here: first name, last name, and then the email right here. So we got all the information out of this. So you can just use this to store this in a CSV file. Okay, so this is actually very simple to do. So let me just go ahead and use this instead of the CSV file. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm just going to go ahead and create a CSV file here. So I'm going to create one, sorry, let me just create one here. So I'm going to call it data.csv right here. So I can also go ahead and import, we don't need to import anything else. We can just go ahead and read that file and then store the information of that file in there. So we can go ahead and try to read that file. So I'm just going to go to the very top. Going to the very top right here, and I'm going to read that file. So I'm going to say file equals to, the file is going to be equals to the following, is going to be open. And what do you want to open? You want to open the data.csv file. So data.csv, and then you want to open in the write mode, because you want to write content to it. So once I have that done, that's all I need to do, and I can just go in here and go ahead and write the content in there. So if the length of the heading columns is if the length I is not equals to the length of the heading columns minus 1, we want to go ahead and do something. So I have written some logic here. Let me just type it out for you, then I'll explain to you. If I is not equals to the length of the column headings minus 1. So if the head is not equals to column the headings minus 1, what you simply want to do is want to say column underscore names, and the column names is going to be the following. You're going to simply plus add something, so plus equals. So column names is from here. So let me actually call it column names instead of just column name. And this is going to be the row.text.split, and then you want to store that information there. So row.text, right, dot split, just like the way we did up here. So dot strip, so not split, instead dot strip, and then I'm simply going to add to it an empty string right here. So an empty not an empty string, it's called actually a comma, because after each of those elements you want a comma, because this is going to be a CSV file, and a CSV file stands for comma separated values. So that's why you want to keep that comma files in there, that the comma after each of those elements. So we write the first name and then comma, and then we add the second one, and then the third one, and then like that. Okay, and then else let me just going to say column underscore names. So column names plus equals, and then you're going to say this is going to be row.text.strip, and then you're going to simply add to it, yeah, just row the text or split. So this, you're going to be adding a comma as long as it's not the very last text of that element. If it's the last text, then you're not going to add any comma afterwards, okay, because this is going to be a CSV file. So only going to be adding a comma if the other texts are going to follow in that line, right? So if we write one column and then you add comma, and then another column is going to follow. If that's the column that you're trying to write is the very last column, which is this part here, we are not going to be adding any comma after that. So that's what this logic simply means. So once I have that done, I can simply go ahead and run this script, and now this should run right for us this content right here, first name, last name, and email, instead of our CSV file. So I can just go ahead and run that. So let me just go ahead and run that. So play the terminal and then run that again. So now it's done. So now let's go and check our CSV file. So you can see this file right here. So it didn't actually write any content in here. So it didn't actually write the content. So let's see why. Okay, we didn't write any content because we didn't actually tell it to write any content, right? So let's go ahead and actually write it. So I'm going to say file.write, and I want to write the following, which is going to be column underscore names, just like this. That's all we want to write in. So now everything should be fine, and at the end you have to go ahead and do file.close, because it's always a good practice to close, to close any file that you open. And if you don't know about how to work with files in Python, I have a tutorial on my channel talking about how to work with files, so you can check that out. You can find the video on my channel page, or you can find the link in the description below. So let me just go ahead and try to run this one more time again. So now that's all done. So now if you check in here, if I didn't make any error. So you can see we have first name, last name, and then email. So first name, then comma, and then second name, and then comma. But for email, since there's no other thing that comes after it, there's no comma else. There's no comma afterwards. So that's, we have those 3 columns right there. So now I have the 3 columns already specified. So I want to go ahead and also get the names, the first names, the last name, and then the emails of those different rows of the data, and we can go ahead and actually store that inside of our CSV file. So to do that is actually very simple. So just simply going to do, I'm going to say for row in, you can just say for row in table underscore body underscore row. So for row in table body rows, what is simply going to do, we are going to say that table underscore table data is going to simply going to be row dot find underscore all. So for each of those rows, we're going to go ahead and find the data of them. So I'm going to say data tag. So if I go in here, I'm just going to explain it to you right here. So we are done with the head tag, so I'm just going to minimize this, and I'm going to go into the body tag. And for each of those, you have different table rows, right? And each of those table rows has something called table data, which is this TD tag right here. So I want the TD tag, which I from here. So I don't want the very first one. I want from the second one and till the last one. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to get the table data. I'm going to get all of it, and then I'm simply going to go ahead and install that inside of our CSV file. So what I'm simply going to do here, I'm going to say new row data. So I'm going to say new underscore row underscore data, and new row data is just going to be, for now, it's just going to say backslash n. And this one we're using backslash n is that we want to move to every line after writing each row. Okay, that's why we're using backslash n. So I'm going to say for I comma table data in enumerate. So I'm going to use the enumerate again, enumerate, and then I'm going to simply pass in the following. So I'm going to pass in table underscore data right here. For going to pass in table data, and here I can just simply go ahead and actually print the table data information just to show you guys. So I'm going to say td.text .strip, just strip it of any white spaces and stuff like that. So I can just go ahead and run this again. So let me just run this. So now we should get back all the table data for all those of all those information. The first one is John, and then the second one is his name. Second name is Doe, and then we have his email here, and then Janet, and then Janet Doe. You have the email, and then Helen, and then second name is Thomas, and then last name is Thomas, and then we have the email Harry Page, and then harrypage@gmail.com, and we have all that information from the table right here. So we obtain that information from here. So the thing we're going to do is to write it into our CSV file. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just comment out this print statement. So I'm going to do if I is not equals to the length of what? The length of the table underscore data. Okay, just like before, we are doing that so we can make sure that we're not adding commas, so that you can make sure that you're adding commas only if there's another row that comes after it, because this is a comma separated value file. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say new underscore new row data, and new row data is going to be plus equals. So plus equals to I'm going to say table data dot text dot strip, just like we did. So strip that, and then you're going to go ahead and add it to add a semicolon to it. So I'm only going to be adding a semicolon to it if it's not the very last element. What if is the last element? So we're going to have the else statement, and you're going to say new underscore data, and this is going to be plus equals to the table data dot text, right? We're going to get the text, and then we're going to go ahead and strip it of any empty of any white spaces. Okay, so this is the very last element. You're going to strip it of white space and store it in there, since there's no row that comes after it. So that's, once we have that, I can just go ahead and write that into a file. So I can just go ahead and say file.write, and then write in new underscore table new row data, just like that. So I'm going to write a new row data. So at the end here we have our file being closed right here. So now it's going to go ahead and write everything inside of our file. So it's going to go ahead, strip this table of all the data, scrap the data out, and then simply store the data inside of our CSV file right here. So now you can see that this is how the file looks like. Now let's go ahead and actually run the code. So run this code, and let's see what we get. So you can see at the background that the information has popped in there. So you can see we have all that information has been popped in here. We have John Doe and then all that information, right? So you can actually go ahead and actually open this up. So let me just open this up and I'll show you how it looks like. Yeah, so now I have my file open, right? Just let me just close this one. My PC was a bit lagging, but now you can see the file here. So I opened this window a couple of times. Let me just close these other ones. So you can see the information that you have scrapped from the website, and all that information has been stored in here. So that's how you can simply go ahead and do a bit of web scrapping. So now you can have the data in case you want to use it for any purpose you want, then you can feel free to go ahead and use that. So that's the basics introduction to web scrapping. If you guys want me to make more videos about web scrapping using Selenium and stuff like that, and do more advanced tutorials, let me know in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, please kindly consider subscribing, liking this video, and sharing it with anyone who you think might find this helpful. Yeah, so that's all for this video. See you in the next one, and keep safe.